Welcome back to Marty G on the podcast and the Use Your Words series. This is episode 4, and the word is chemistry.
Say my name. Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
Now, it would be great to do a deep dive into Heisenberg, Walter White, and all things Breaking Bad. Sorry, it's not that kind of chemistry. This chemistry is that magic between you and me. You know, that spark, that little fire, that burst of butterflies in your gut that used to drive us to explore one another and find ways to make each other happy every day. If you're happily partnered right now, you got it. And us that are not happily partnered, well, you know what? We're green with envy. Unfortunately, what appears to be the technical tools we have in place to aid us in facilitating that many big-time huge spectrum of chemistry, Facebook, chat, Insta, whatever, all those things that are out there to help facilitate chemistry, I think they're completely overused, overapplied, and actually, if you're like me, I call them the lazy-ass, overused, emotionally dumbing down of the human senses and interactional skills of humans, one character at a time. Don't worry though, this is not about that. That's another series at another time. Today, I'm going to reintroduce you to the word chemistry and let you decide how you are using it in your own life, and if anything, how that whole technology thing is helping you or hurting you with the world around you. Is technology getting in the way for you? Did you know it existed? Who the hell is Walter White? Well, if Walter White, Breaking Bad, or any of these Heisenberg references that I have are foreign to you, please use your favorite search engine and look it up. You can thank me later. Let's cook. What is chemistry? Chemistry can be defined as the natural connection or spark felt with someone. It can be instant or built up over time. I consider it a four-legged stool. There are 4 types of chemistry in this stool of emotion or feeling. You have emotional chemistry, you have physical chemistry, or intellectual chemistry, or spiritual chemistry. I'll discuss each one as we go through and maybe kind of take a look on how technology affects each one. Emotional chemistry. The definition is a deep understanding and feeling, empathy over the emotional connection, being seen and heard, having that feeling of knowing someone can feel you, see you, know that you're there and being heard. Now, here's the question. Think about your closest relationships and what leg of the chemistry stool do they rest on? Why do they rest there? Why do they exist there? And is there any constant miscommunication? Think about it from the emotional chemistry side of things. How close do you feel? Or do you feel like you're heard or you're seen in your closest relationships? I'd say it's a matter of perception and intention. And in fact, here's a good takeaway for the emotional side of things. Perception is 100% of everybody else around you, and that's their reality of what's wrong or right. You can't argue it. What they perceive is what makes them feel things. And the chemistry built with you, well, that's the perception of what they feel. But if you keep your intentions true, that's really gonna grow the chemistry between the two of you. So you can't really argue their perception. But if you stay true to your intention, they're actually going to build a closer relationship with you. And that chemistry is gonna get stronger. So, perception drives emotions. Whether it's right or wrong, someone perceives something, they're going to get a feeling from that. If the intention is true and matches the perception, that builds a stronger sense of chemistry, or drives a negative sense of chemistry, like drives someone away. Physical chemistry, number 2. The second one is physical chemistry. Definition is attraction and the spark that comes between being around someone. That's that Duran Duran, hungry like the wolf sort of thing. I talked about this in the last podcast. I talked about that feeling that someone sent me that video, where someone was talking about they had that hunger or being around someone, they couldn't describe it, and sometimes they're repulsed by someone. That's chemistry. You have a natural just feeling there's a chemistry at all different levels between people, humans. So it's determination of how that has worked. Now, Sometimes you can use that to your advantage or to your disadvantage, depending on what kind of relationship you're having with someone. The problem is, nowadays, people spend too much time using technology to build chemistry, and you just can't do that. It's impossible to build chemistry with somebody through a text message or through technology. You've got to be seen, you've got to actually build an established connection with someone to actually feel chemistry. Because if you're trying to establish some kind of connection with someone in a role of some sort of whatever in your life, without actually having a connection, you're actually building off your own past experiences. You have no idea what this person is about and what their past experiences are about. You're going off your own past experiences, and it's not really, honestly, quite fair to that person. So I say video chats are great, any kind of texting jokes or whatever are great. I tell people, especially when I'm just getting to know them, if you don't know me and we're spending a lot of time on text, I suggest you don't take anything I text you seriously because you don't know me well enough to know whether I'm being funny, sarcastic, or serious. And words have different meanings to different people. So it's impossible. It's impossible to do that. Sexting is another thing. Sexting is great when you have an established relationship. Look, when it comes to the whole dating world, I am going to encourage you right now. If you're married, stay there. If you're dating, stay there. I just re-entered the whole dating world, and chemistry is so hard to find. Dating apps are doing a big misservice to people, trying to build a false sense of chemistry in a profile, saying, okay, my profile matches this person. There's the chemistry, so now we can start talking. The profiles are just showing you what you have in common, folks. You still got to establish the connection, and that can only be done by an actual connection, and that's a tactile one, seeing or hearing someone. The texting and all that back and forth is not going to get it for someone. So, I would say don't do too much of the back and forth texting because the challenge is always going to be seeing what that spark's really about. And if you're someone like me who tends to, I don't know, over text. I hate silence. It's the DJ in me, or it's maybe the spaz in me. If I text and it's silent, then I'm texting again, and I'm texting again, and I'm texting again. The next thing I know, I've sent a whole novel. Now, I didn't mean to overwhelm you. It's just I'm a spaz. But if you know me, you recognize that I'm a spaz, and more than likely we're going to be on the phone because you don't want me to send you a novel. But in early conversations, I try to keep that to a minimum because I would much rather talk to you than send novels back and forth. Long form messages are great if we have a relationship. I can send a long form message to people if I have something that's just too difficult to talk about. I'd rather send a text message. But again, if I have a relationship with you, I'm not going to share anything too difficult with you over text messages because sometimes I don't want to put that in writing. I'd rather just talk to you about it. I've noticed that a lot in the whole dating world. It's like, okay, you want to get to know me through text. You want me to share all this personal relationship with you, all this personal information in a relationship app with you, all my life information, everything I've been through, but you don't want to talk on the phone. Okay, that's just weird to me. I don't quite get that. So realistically, I think it's more important to have that chemistry built either in person by talking. No, you don't have to always meet one on one, but at least establish some sort of auditory or physical connection with someone before you let the texting rip it apart and all that other things. And that also gets to the next one, and that's I'm just going to throw it in here, guys, the Richard picture. I'm using the word Richard on purpose. The lower third thing, that's great. We're all real proud of him. Don't do it. It's making all guys look dumb, okay? I don't even know where this came from to be like something that's cool or something that's funny or whatever, but you wouldn't do it in public. You wouldn't take someone out for coffee and say, hey, take a look at what I got here. What do you think? Well, wait for coffee. You like this? You like this? Don't do it. And women, do me a favor. If a guy sends you a Richard picture, call the cops. Let's quit blowing it off like they're just idiots because, yes, they're idiots, and two, they're assaulting you. I gotta make this very clear. It is not okay to send it. Now, if you're in your own personal relationship and you guys have something established and that's something you guys do back and forth, more power to you. But to arbitrarily send something like that, it just makes it tough to establish a relationship. I cannot tell you on how many different profiles I've read from different types of women that I've just met on these silly apps. And they say, well, don't send any Richard pictures. I'm like, why would I? I don't know you. I mean, is that it just seems strange. It's the same thing with no red flags. Red flags to me, I don't like those when it comes to whole chemistry thing because I would want to know what bothers you from the beginning. That means if we talk about things and I understand what bothers you, then I just won't do those things. And then that means there's no red flags. Pretty simple. So, if you're also sending a text and you have that rapport, gifs and emojis and all those things are great. But if you don't have those connections, you don't have the emotional side, you can look like you're blowing somebody off or making fun of something they're saying. So again, in the fast-paced world of messaging back and forth, texting bad if you don't have that emotional connection. How do you make that emotional connection? You got to have some kind of actual connection. The apps are fantastic in a sense. They give you a broad overview, but we can't take this shortcut process anymore of trying to build relationships. I know COVID did some things for a while, kept everybody at a distance. I can't see how anybody's going to continue to build chemistry without actually talking to one another. I don't see it. I can't see how it's being done. I try to talk to people on these apps and I tell them flat out, look, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just trying to meet people. So don't ask me what I'm looking for because I don't know. Maybe it's you, maybe it's not you. I'd love to make sure that I end up with someone, but who knows if it's you or not. Technology can help you, but not necessarily all the time it's going to help you. All right, so number three is intellectual chemistry. Now, intellectual chemistry is great because if I look back in the day, before technology took over, we used to be able to sit around, me and my friends, and we'd have debates and long conversations. Everybody had an opinion about something. Yeah, and then cable news took over, and everybody went left or right. And then we had the cancel culture where you just say one thing wrong or opposite of somebody else, and holy cow, good luck to you. Have a nice day. You're dumb. Look, folks, it doesn't have to be that way. Everybody has an intellectual level and an opinion, and they're all entitled to it. Just because your opinion is different than mine doesn't mean you're any less intelligent than me. I've got all different kinds of levels of different types of people on my Facebook, and I actually use Facebook a little different than most. When I first set it up, way back in 2009 or whatever, I quickly rose to like almost 3,000 people on my Facebook. And then I stopped because it was stupid. I had way too many people. I'm like, yeah, I can't see why I should have this many people looking into my life. I don't even know this many people. And it felt awkward. And also, I realized right away, every time I accepted a friend, I was automatically following that friend, and they were automatically following me. But I didn't necessarily want that because I didn't know them that well. So I went through and I unfollowed everybody and decided to very gradually just start adding people back into my whole following thing. And what that left me with was a much smaller, intimate group of people that I now have no controversial topics that are run counter to who I am or what I believe. I mean, it's not always the exact same types of people, but it's not also so overtly opposite that it just causes me emotional just strain and stress. Now, do I suggest this for everybody? I say, yeah, absolutely. Clean up your feed, clean up your friends, clean up your contacts because it gives you more of your community. And community, I think, is very important. I didn't think once social media came online that most of my strongest relationships would exist there. But when you got a family like mine, yeah, you're going to have to kind of rely on social media. I've got some of my closest cousins and whatnot all over the place. Some are down in California and some are in Ohio, some are all over the place. But my closest siblings, yeah, no, we're not that close. My friends and closest friends that I've had in my life, they act as friends, they act as family. So I stay connected on social media. But what I do is we have conversations, and that's because we have an established relationship. And I'll talk about this because I actually did a test on this, and I've told my friends about this on social media. A couple weeks back, I posed a very emotionally charged topical question on my Facebook page, and it was about pro-choice or pro-life. And the whole point was I wanted to see if my gaggle of friends could have intellectual conversation about it without attacking each other. Now, I also posed the question a little differently to see if anybody could pick up on how I posed the question. Now, there were a couple that picked up on it, but most missed it because it is such an emotional question. But what I really loved about my friends is no one attacked each other. Everybody was able to have their opinion and nobody attacked the other person. And I love that. I've got the best group of people in the world around me, and I'm very, very fortunate to have that. It doesn't happen very often, but I did the work to make sure of that. I appreciate having you as an audience because obviously you're listening to me, so thank you. The other thing I want to talk about when it comes to intellectual chemistry, um, it's interesting. I call this the Big Bang Bazinga on intellectual communication, and I used to call it Revenge of the Nerds for us that are older and old like me. Um, Digital communications isn't brand new, if you think about it. Yeah, we found out about it, as consumers when it came online with social media and all that. But the folks, the guys, the linear thinkers, the computer engineers, the regular engineers, the people that are making all this technology for us to use, a lot of them had access to stuff like this a long time ago. And they're sending code back and forth to one another, trying to create this stuff. So they had digital communications like this. And they would send messages back and forth. And the funny thing about it, they don't waste any time trying to interpret messages. Linear thinkers are from A to Z without a lot of just veering off path to try to determine what things meant. And I tend to think I'm kind of a nerd sometimes too, and I'll do that. I can A to Z things all day long, but there's also times where I get emotional because, I'm kind of a spaz. And this is why I say it's the revenge of the nerds or the Big Bang Bazinga, thinking about Sheldon and all those nerds on Big Bang Theory. You know, they don't waste a lot of time trying to interpret what somebody's saying in digital communications. However, when we, as emotional folks, us multi-sided, multifaceted emotional people, get a hold of technology where we can send messages back and forth without any chemistry being assigned, we spend so much time trying to establish or understand what messages mean. We take things personally, we take things out of context, and we waste so much time trying to decipher what somebody meant or what something was supposed to say, or maybe somebody said something wrong, or maybe somebody didn't say something wrong, or oh my God, it's crazy. One of my friends, I sent her a text message and I was just being supportive. And just by the way I phrased the message, she sent me a message back saying that I was being really inappropriate and how dare I. And I couldn't figure out what I said wrong. And so she called me, finally picked up the phone and called me, which I thought was cool. She called me and we reread the message, and I use phrases like I'm right behind you, I'm in front of you, I'm right beside you, I'm behind you, and I'm underneath you. And I phrased it thinking I'm your support person. So I'm right beside you, battling right beside you. I'm in front of you, clearing the path. I'm behind you 100% of the way. I'm underneath you, boosting you up. But in her mind, it came out as it was a little sexualized. Now I said, okay, I didn't even come out any way, shape, or form in my brain sexualized, but if you put it in that context, I guess it could be. But she knew me well enough to call and recognize that I wasn't being that way to begin with, so that was weird for her to go there. But too many times I've seen this happen that people jump to a conclusion intellectually because of what they feel. It's that what they think you're saying, that perception. So the intellectual side breaks down. There's no understanding of what someone's saying. in my own profile, once upon a time on some of these Facebook dating profiles, whatever, somebody called me a narcissist because I said I don't believe in red flags. And I'm like, what? And I asked her, why am I a narcissist? She said, well, you don't believe in being held accountable, and you don't care how other people feel. And I said, no. If you remember what I said earlier, tell me how you feel about things going in, problems you've had before, and I don't do those things. That way we don't have to worry about red flags. Because I personally don't like the whack-a-mole game. I don't like that, well, I'm going to keep an eye on you to make sure you don't do those things that whack. Because I think just personal mindset. Nice guys finish last, folks. That's still true today. Still very true today. But what we also have to carry in our bag of utilities is a hazmat suit. Because 9 times out of 10, or 10 times out of 10, we're cleaning up some other guy's toxic masculinity they left behind on the last relationship that we have to kind of deal with in the new relationship that we're coming into. So, guys, take it easy on us. We're trying to do some good here. So now on the very last chemistry, the last level of chemistry is spiritual. And this one is simple. Spiritual chemistry is very simple. It's the definition of shared values, beliefs, and the sense of being on the same life path or journey. There are so many different types of spirituality, and people do things online. There's like churches, there's people have Facebook groups where they all meet and stuff like this. Technology can help this stuff. Facebook groups can help these things. Here's my takeaway when it comes to spiritual chemistry. I'm going to take it from something I heard in our whole political climate. I heard a line that I love that I'm going to keep for me for the rest of my life for things like this. When it comes to your spirituality, none of my damn business. If it works for you, keep doing it. It's not my business to tell you what's wrong and right, because I'm just another guy. I know it works for me. If you want to find out what works for me, you want to try something new, we can talk. Otherwise, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and we'll see what happens at the end. So that's the whole thing on chemistry. If you've got your own thoughts or experiences on chemistry, especially how text messaging or any other social media has played into it, shoot me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Now, like I said, this is episode 4. I know I missed episode 3, and I'll tell you why. Episode 3 was on closure, but I didn't have the closure to do episode 3. So I was going to do 3 and a story with episode 3, so I prematurely promoted 3. So this is 4. We'll do 3 some other time. So episode 5 is coming up next. I don't know what I'm doing, but if you have a suggestion for Use Your Words, let me know that as well. Until next time, keep using your words, stay open to connection, and remember, chemistry might start online, but the real magic often happens in person. For now and forever, I'm Marty G on whatever you'd like me to be. Peace.